It was just past 1:45 a.m. when Ryan Keller, a 29-year-old night shift nurse, drove down an unusually empty stretch of Ashford Street in downtown Chicago. The wind howled through the alleyways like it was carrying whispers, and the amber streetlights flickered with a tired pulse. Ryan was just 2 blocks from home when he saw her. A little girl, no older than 10, stood motionless under a flickering streetlight, dressed in a pale white dress. Barefoot, her hair tangled, eyes wide open, unblinking. She wasn't crying, wasn't scared, just staring directly at him. He slowed down. His instinct said, "Don't stop." But his conscience said, "What if she's lost?" Ryan rolled down his window and called out, "Hey, are you okay? Where are your parents?" The girl didn't move, didn't blink, didn't speak. Only her eyes shifted slowly to meet his exactly. Suddenly, the streetlight above her went out, plunging her into complete darkness. Ryan cursed under his breath. He turned his headlights toward the sidewalk. The girl was gone. He opened his door and stepped out, scanning the sidewalk, the alley, the trees. "Hello?" he shouted. Silence. He got back into his car, heart pounding, deciding to report it when he got home. As he drove off, his rearview mirror picked up something horrifying. The girl was sitting in his back seat. Her pale face reflected slightly in the glass. Ryan slammed the brakes and spun around. No one was there. The back seat was empty. Breathing hard, he locked the doors and sped off, reaching his apartment in minutes. That night, he couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the girl's face. Those eyes, too wide to be human, too still to be alive. He never spoke of it. But from that night on, every time he drove past that streetlight, it went out. And one night, months later, Ryan was found dead in his car, just beneath the same streetlight. Eyes wide open, mouth frozen, mid-scream. The girl was never found. But if you ever drive alone at night in Chicago and see a girl standing beneath a dying streetlight, don't stop.
Claire Hemsworth, a 35-year-old London journalist, had rented a cottage in Wiltshire for a weekend escape. No cell service, no internet, just quiet fields and stone walls. The locals called the area Whisper Vale, a nickname she assumed came from the soft winds brushing through the tall grass. On her second night, just after 2 a.m., Claire was woken by something off. It wasn't a loud noise. It was the absence of sound. No crickets, no rustling leaves, just silence. So heavy, it felt alive. She sat up in bed. The moonlight cast long bars through the window. Then came the whispering. It wasn't in the cottage. It was outside. Multiple voices, soft like children playing some ancient game. Claire moved to the window and looked out onto the wide field. There was no one there, but the whispers continued and grew closer. She grabbed her phone. No signal. Her flashlight flicked on, casting a beam into the fields. Then she saw them, figures, half visible in the moonlight, walking through the field toward the cottage. 5 of them. No flashlights, just moving, slowly, and whispering. Their heads tilted in unnatural angles as if listening to something underground. She backed away from the window. The front door creaked. A whisper slid under the crack of the wooden frame like smoke. "She hears us now." Claire bolted to the back room, shoved a dresser against the door, and waited, flashlight trembling in her hands. The voices kept circling around the house, over the roof, beneath the floorboards. She shouldn't have come here. She can't leave now. Then silence again. Morning came, and with it, light and life and birdsong. Claire fled the house without even packing. When she returned later with the police, the field was empty. No footprints, no sign of trespassers. But inside the front door, carved into the wood, was a line. You heard us once. You always will. Since that night, even in the heart of London, when the streets go quiet, Claire hears them whispering.
Evan Marshall, a long-haul truck driver, had been driving through Alberta for 11 hours straight when he finally pulled over at a remote roadside motel called Sleepy Pines Inn. He was exhausted, the kind of exhaustion where hallucinations seem like suggestions. The receptionist, an older man with glassy eyes, gave him a key with a metal tag that read simply, Room 0. Evan raised an eyebrow. Is that a 0? The man didn't answer, just slid the key across the counter and whispered, Rooms down the left hallway, end of the line. The hallway was narrow, poorly lit, and every door had a number, 201, 202, 203, until it stopped. There was one more door at the very end. No number, just the old wood, chipped paint, and a keyhole that looked burned. Evan slid in the key. It clicked. The door creaked open. The room inside was freezing cold, despite the heater being on full blast. The lights flickered the second he entered. The walls looked off, like they were pulsing slightly, breathing. On the bedside table was a note written in red ink. Stay inside. Do not open the door again, no matter what you hear. Evan sat on the bed thinking it was some sick motel prank. Then, the knocking started. 3 sharp knocks at the door. He got up, peered through the peephole. No one. He sat back down. Then came the whispering, from the walls, from behind the mirror, from inside the closet. Voices that didn't speak English, or any language he recognized, just layered murmurs growing louder. And then, the door handle began to turn slowly. Click, click, click. He jumped up and held the handle. Whatever was on the other side was strong, and it didn't stop. Evan yelled, "Leave me alone." The voices stopped instantly. Then a voice whispered back from behind him, "But you opened the door last time." He spun around. Nothing. By morning, room null was empty, but the receptionist insists, "We don't have a room like that." There's no door at the end of the hallway anymore, just a blank wall. Some nights, though, truckers say they see a door appear if they're too tired and driving alone.
Tessa Martin, a college student, had just moved into her grandmother's old Victorian house in a town called Ash Grove. It was creaky, drafty, and beautiful in a falling apart kind of way. Locals often glanced at the house but said nothing, though one old man at the grocery store muttered, "If you hear tapping at the attic window, don't look up." Tessa laughed it off. That night, while studying in the living room, she heard it. Tap, 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 rhythmic, delicate. She followed the sound upstairs. It led to the attic, a room she hadn't entered yet. The door was sealed shut with 2 rusted locks. The tapping continued, louder now. Tap, tap, tap. She grabbed a chair and climbed to peek through the small attic window from outside the house. The glass was fogged from the inside, and in the center was a handprint. Small, childlike. She told herself it was just her imagination, that old houses make sounds, that the handprint had been there all along. She went to bed. At 2:46 a.m., the tapping returned. Now, it came from the hallway outside her bedroom window. She got up, this time, not afraid. She opened the curtains and saw her, a pale woman in a tattered white dress floating just inches off the ground, face pressed to the glass. Her eyes were gone. Her mouth was open far too wide, and still. She was tapping. Tessa screamed. The figure vanished. Police found no signs of break-in. But the attic was finally forced open. Inside was a child's room, untouched for decades. Toys, a small bed, and a drawing on the wall. A picture of a girl at the window, tapping. And beneath it, a sentence carved into the wood. "Don't look at her window.